Thank you. It's great to be with you tonight. I'm the old guy. If you notice, the three previous speakers had hair, and they were a lot younger. But I've got a lot more battle scars than I think that they have to draw upon. In thinking about tonight, two scenes came into my mind after Gordon asked me to speak. One of them is in Thomas Paine's commentary, Common Sense. He makes the statement, "These are times that try men's souls." Do I hear an amen to that? Amen. And then for you movie buffs, you remember the movie Hunt for Red October?
Oh yeah.
You remember that? Jack Ryan had been investigating something. He was pulling on these threads. He was looking at photographs. He was talking to people. He was trying to figure out what was going on. And he wound up being asked on the spot to give a presentation to a high bunch of high rollers buried in the basement of some building in DC. And very calmly he said, "The last 24 hours have been extraordinary." So what I'm here to tell you tonight is that these are times that test our souls, and these are days when things are very extraordinary in Athens, Clarke County. And I want to thank Kevin Epps for continually to put at the forefront what the core issues are that are driving what's happening here in Athens, Clarke County, and what the dangers are that we have. I cannot imagine what he goes through every day when he sees this mountain of stuff that he only sees and he has to deal with. So in thinking about tonight, I just wanted to share a few thoughts. One is, if you look back in history, radical movements tend to burn themselves out. They tend to set themselves on fire because they set their supporters on fire who don't want to be on fire. And our job is to accelerate that fire.
Yes.
Our job is to put fuel on the fire and to make it burn faster and make it burn brighter so people really see and know and understand what's going on. Since beginning in the late summer, there's been a confluence of events in Athens. We have a growing crime problem. It's very hard to accept what the chief of police says about the crime statistics versus what we see every day in our neighborhoods. And by the way, we haven't been able to replicate his numbers in terms of the reduction in crime. We're still searching, maybe we will, but a number of us haven't been able to replicate those numbers. City Hall is paying for private security because they think security is a problem, but there's no security downtown. We understand that the Downtown Development Authority is finally tired of waiting on the mayor, and they're going to perhaps fund some part-time off-duty police to patrol downtown, but that hasn't been approved yet. But they think their security is pretty important, not yours. We have an out-of-control homeless problem, which is a lot worse than what they own up to, because we are a magnet. We allow surrounding counties to dump off homeless in Athens, Clarke County without any mitigation or remediation back to them in terms of sending them a bill. If I was mayor, I'd send them a bill every time we pick up one of those people. We have a recognition that Athens is a sanctuary city. I think Kevin said it well. When you have a district attorney that has a policy like she does, when you have a mayor that says what he does, when you have a sheriff that says what he does, and you have a commission that voted in a resolution in 2019 that never uses the word sanctuary city, but uses every other word that you could think of to say sanctuary city, you are what? A sanctuary city. That's what we are, and everybody knows it. So the green light, the porch light is on nationally for people to come in here. And we're even on the map. We're on the Center for Immigration Studies map, which makes it a problem. And we see an increasing illegal immigrant population. And I'm not hesitant to use the word illegal immigrant population.
That's right.
We've had indications of this for about 2 years from anecdotal reports from people on the street seeing people get off buses, seeing people at bus stops and in front of the library with all their luggage and everything else with international flight tags on them and other things. They've been here for a while, and now we know for sure that they are here. Just recently, here in the past week, someone in the community sent me a text email, and they had cut and pasted a text that they had received from an Athens Clark County teacher because the teacher didn't want her name known. And in that text, she talked about in the last 3 weeks, 26 Venezuelan students had started in Clark County school system, and that there were new students arriving almost daily. So open records request is now at the Clark County school system for them to identify new enrollees by country since the start of this school year. Will anything come of that? Don't know, but it's another indication that they are here, that they're here in large numbers because the porch light is on. We have learned that since 2019, an organization has been operating in Athens to bring in refugees who come through the U.S. refugee program. This effort really began in 2019 with the idea of bringing in Afghan refugees. We don't know how many actually came here at that time. We do know that in 2020, the mayor started dealing with this organization. We have all the email documents associated with that, but he never told anybody. He never told the commissioners. He never told the public. He just went out on his own and became the Clark County social worker in chief, making decisions about what Clark County was going to do to support those particular individuals. And then in 2022, he signed a letter to the U.S. State Department saying that he supported the designation of Athens becoming an official refugee resettlement site. He never talked to the commission. The commission never endorsed it. There was no vote on the part of the commission. And it's not clear at all if he had the statutory authority to do that. And so now somebody is finally looking into that. And he not only did that once, he did it twice. So we're a sanctuary city, we're a refugee resettlement site. All major challenges. And now we know that the mayor is still engaged. As late as last Thursday, he was in meetings with this organization about bringing in more refugees.
Do we know the name of this organization?
Yes. Yeah. And, let me say something about that.
The organization?
Say again?
Hear the name of the organization?
It's Bethany Christian Services, and just let me make a comment. There are many organizations that are engaged in compassionate ministries to support various groups of people. God gives us a mind to think and a heart to discern about what's going on. So I won't challenge their motivation. I might challenge how they go about doing business, because none of this has been done in a transparent manner, engaging the public and engaging our local elected officials in any way. And so here we are in 2024, and we have a growing growing illegal immigrant population. We have a growing homeless population because the mayor has made it a hub for this region. And what commissioner or mayor of another city would not say, well, thank you very much. Yes. We will just continue to drop people off in Athens, Clark County. And now we are a refugee resettlement site. I've had the opportunity here over the last 2 weeks to ask some pretty higher up people questions. And one of them was, is there some kind of vision and plan that somebody has to turn Athens into the next Clarkston, Georgia? And you all know about Clarkston, right? Can't get an answer to that from anybody. But you have to wonder, because some of us may remember Nancy Denson fought this battle back in 2014 and 2015 because they wanted to resettle 150 Syrian families into Athens. And she went into overdrive and she stopped it. Unlike now, where we have a mayor who has a green light.
Yes.
And he says, bring it on, bring it on. So they're doing everything they can to bring in people that put greater and greater demands on the socioeconomic and benefit systems we have in Athens, Clarke County. And as many of us know, they are almost at the breaking point. We have housing problems, we have chronic poverty problems, we have problems in the schools, and none of these other things were ever planned on in terms of what's going on. We also know that nothing happens in a vacuum. And we're kind of reaping the consequences of serious flawed leadership and policy decisions that go all the way back to 2018 and 2019. I've been asked several times, as I have been thinking about this of late, about where's your compassion for those coming to Athens? And my response has been, how is it compassionate to bring people into Athens without full transparency and buy-in by the public? How compassionate it is to bring people into Athens when nobody knows about it and we don't have the infrastructure, which is, remember Athens? We're the smallest geographical county in Georgia and one of the highest density populations in Georgia, and we have all kind of chronic problems. There's no intent to be rude or to be unkind to people, but the reality is it's just not compassionate to bring all of these folks into Athens when Athens has not made the commitment to support this, or we don't have the resources to do this. I also believe that there are many Athenians, your friends, your neighbors, no matter what their political brand, color, or community, who have finally had enough or are coming to the realization that they have had enough, but may not be willing to say it yet or act on that. And part of that realization is that they're now kind of understanding that many of us across whatever socioeconomic group you want to look at, we have more in common than we thought that we had differences. You know, the word Classic City meant something at one time. But what's going on here is not anything that has to do with classic. It has to do with other things. So now we need to think about making changes. Kevin talked about that a little bit. Our last speaker did also. So I'm going to suggest a few things for you to think about. One is, I think the experiment is about over.
Yes.
It's burning itself out. We need to accelerate that effort. Local elections are on the horizon, and supporting Conkey for DA is critical. And fortunately, we have some great folks who have stepped up and willing to put their name in the hat and willing to run and stand up for what's the right thing to do.
Right.
And so what we need to do is we need to support them, not just say we support them. You need to call and write them. You need to give them verbal encouragement, support, and whatever they need to do. And most importantly, you need to write them a check.
Yes.
That's the ultimate brand of support. The next thing is, unfortunately, many of us had to watch a commission meeting a week ago and witness something by one of the commissioners that I'm sure we would all like to forget, but it's now been plastered all over the national, international news. It even appeared in the Daily Mail, UK Daily Mail. So what's to be done? You need to get on the phone, you need to call your commissioner, and you need to demand that Melissa Link be censured.
Yes.
That's the only proper course of action, and as I've told several commissioners today on the phone, what are you planning to do? Something has to be done. That cannot be allowed to stand. You should also challenge your commissioner to rescind the 2019 resolution,
Yes.
which is one of the most vile things I think I have ever read. That needs to be rescinded immediately. You also need to challenge your commissioner about making budget decisions based on transparency, changing priorities, and lowering taxes more than what looks like to be a fig leaf. And now is the time to do that. You may remember last year, they waited until the last minute, the last hour of the last meeting in the last month that they could approve the budget before they decided by one vote, I think it was, to give us what? 10 cents on the dollar, 3 cents on the dollar, or whatever it was in terms of a reduction. You need to start right now talking to your commissioners. We need tax relief, and we need a balanced budget. You also need to challenge your commissioners right now on the Athens growth plan. And I know that's something for many of us is kind of hard to get our mind around. Well, why should I be concerned about this Athens growth plan? And the reason is that it's really a stalking horse. It's a Trojan horse. Its ultimate goal is to eliminate single-family housing and zoning in Athens, Clarke County. That's what they want to do. And why do they want to do that? Because they want higher and higher density in Athens, Clarke, housing density. That means single-family zoning would turn into something called form zoning, where you could have duplexes, quadruplexes, sixplexes, high-rises, and what we think of traditional housing, home areas in Athens, Clarke County. And it's also a plan to enable expansion of downtown Athens across the river into East Athens. You may remember here a few months ago when Tiffany Taylor, one of the commissioners, was very adamant to change the ratio of allocation of the tax allocation district for downtown and East Athens from 70% going essentially to the Civic Center and 30% going to East Athens to make it 30-70. Well, what was all behind that was that all that money was going to go towards development of moving Athens across the river into East Athens. Because the real goal of that is to get rid of all of the traditional homes that have been over in East Athens and extend downtown. So if you don't like the concrete and brick gulags downtown in Athens, if we don't do anything, they're going to be on the other side of the river. And a lot of people are going to lose their homes. So pay attention to the Athens growth plan. And this is an area where we need to build bridges, because we have a lot of things in common with folks in East Athens. And I think it's important that we focus on what we have in common if we're going to get back to a more traditional view of what we think are values here that protect all communities and meet the needs of more and more people. And finally, let me talk about what you can do every day. It's very important that you show up at commission meetings. I know all of you are busy. Some of you get home late and you say, I'm meetinged out today. I can't do any more. I can't go to another meeting. Well, I encourage you just to kind of suck it up and go to one more meeting. Because we have to keep our foot on the gas. We have to let people know and understand that people are engaged and people want to be involved, and that's why you're here tonight. Another thing we need to do is we need to have another rally.
Yes.
You set the standard, but I think it's very important for us to do those kinds of things because it lets us know that there are other people out there that are like us.
That's right.
And there's comfort in numbers, and also it sends a message. The reason those people across the street were so mean and so angry is because they know that it's burning out.
Yes.
They're reacting, and they can't stand it when those of us who are reasonable people who get up every day and go to work, stand up finally. So we need to keep doing that. I believe in the old saying that many of us heard when we were in high school playing sports and other things, said when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Mm-hmm. Well, I take that to mean be aggressive. Don't be a wallflower. Be outspoken, demand transparency, and hold your commissioners accountable. We may not all agree on everything, even everybody in this room. And that's not necessary. What is necessary is that we figure out what we do agree on in common.
Yes.
And then we organize and be very vocal about what it is that we think is really important. And finally, we need to be like the Energizer Bunny. We never stop.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I think I took away from the rally the other night. The energy that people had. Because people had been looking for an outlet for a long time because they realized that we were kind of at a tipping point. They didn't know what was going to happen, but everybody's been feeling for several years like something's going to happen, right? Something has to happen. Well, the events of a couple of weeks ago, unfortunately, was kind of a tipping point. And I think that rally was another one.
Yes.
And so I encourage you to just keep going, be strong, be tough, and let's stay aggressive out there. Thank you.